The Love Life and Lose Weight podcast will teach you the art and science of changing your habits around food. If you know what to do, but can't figure out why you're just not doing it, this is the right podcast for you. I'm your host, Advanced Certified Weight and Life Coach Heather Beardsley. I've helped hundreds of women just like you figure out how to think and eat like a normal eater, lose weight, and love life on the journey to goal weight and beyond. Welcome back. This is episode 90. We're talking about fueling your workouts and why you shouldn't be fasting through your workouts if you're not getting the results that you'd like to see with your weight goals. Today is something that I want to share with you, some experiential advice that is now backed by science and something that I mightily struggled with for many years. For every time I was working out, since I was probably 40 years old, maybe even prior, the goal in my head, based on what I thought were facts, was work out without fuel in your stomach, and that will force the body to take the calories and the energetic requirements of the workout from your fat on the body. And that way we trigger the body to lose fat. And I really did this for a long time without really looking at whether or not it was working for me. I just kept applying the same strategy of fasted workouts, which went along with other things I was doing in terms of diet mentality. You know, before I learned sustainable weight loss, it was about pushing past hunger. It was about saving up calories. It was about eating as little as possible for meals when I felt like I could do that. And this is all part of what the restrictive diet industry tells us about how to lose weight. And thankfully, things are changing now. But I think there's been a lag between how this advice that doesn't really work or has mixed results at best for women doesn't catch up with us in our habits. So many of my clients, what I've observed is they're still kind of applying this idea of fasted workouts and sort of not eating in the morning. And then they kind of get most of their calories later in the day when they get really hungry. And, you know, I want to talk to you about this because if you're not getting the results that you want to get with your goal for probably fat loss, right? This is a very specific area that you can work in. So here's what I want to offer you. The first thing to understand is in midlife, when you're in perimenopause or you're postmenopausal, when your estrogen could be wildly swinging before you get to menopause or even after menopause, the lack of level of estrogen starts to create changes in the body that research specific to women shows really hinders our ability to burn fat if you are doing your workouts without any fuel in the tank. And here's what happens when you do work out and you're in midlife fasted. So you don't have any fuel in the tank. You may or may not feel hunger. And that really isn't indicative of whether or not you need fuel. You do need fuel if you're going to ask your body to perform. And it's great if you feed your body the fuel. The body is happy to take it from the food you eat. But if you don't eat the fuel, the food to provide the fuel, your body will find it in other places. So let's just take a look at underneath the hood what happens. So when you go to a workout empty, your stomach's empty, you have a stress response from your workout. That's normal. We're supposed to induce that, right? You have an energetic effort of some kind, depending on what you're doing. Your cortisol, which is your stress hormone, will increase as a result. That's normal. Your blood sugar will drop because you have used the fuel that's sort of in the line, if you will. So it'll go lower, and your body looking for more fuel, will start breaking down your muscle tissue if you have not provided fuel in the form of food so that you can complete the movement and follow through with the exercise you're asking yourself to do. And it feels like when we do fasted workouts that this is like very disciplined approach, but it's actually not trusting your body. So let me explain a little bit more about that. After you've worked out, fasted, what you tend to notice, and just kind of do an overview for yourself. And remember, this is general advice. Maybe this is happening for you, maybe it isn't. But what we tend to see are these negative adaptations to working out fasted. Excess hunger leading to overeating, lunch and or dinner, and or constant thoughts about food later in the day, mindless snacking. And this isn't like something's gone wrong. This is your body perfectly responding to, hey, the human is moving, but she has no food. Because your body doesn't understand that you're not eating on purpose. It doesn't even understand that. It's like, why why wouldn't you eat if there is food, if you're asking your body to move? And this fact is what we have been so conditioned and brainwashed by diet mentality to just simply leave out of the equation. If you ask your body to perform energetically, especially hard workouts, right? Or long workouts, or both, you need to fuel your body. You need to provide the fuel. That providing of the fuel, even if it's in small amounts of food, will turn off some of those negative adaptations of increased hunger, decreased satiety, increased thoughts about food, right? Food noise that increases, and even cravings later in the day if you haven't had your minimum amount of protein. So over time, if you repeat this over and over, and I did this for at least a decade, maybe longer, maybe two, this constant pendulum swing between not enough food being taken in to fuel your needs, it increases scarcity mindset around food from the perspective of your body. And it confuses your body's hunger hormones, especially leptin. Leptin is the hunger hormone that, when it works properly, tells the body that you've had enough food. So, this is one way that the body can encourage the human, if you will, if the body's trying to communicate with us, to go further and make more of an effort to seek food, is if it turns down the ability for you to receive satiety from your food. And I hear this all the time. I don't really know when I've had enough. I never kind of feel full. I don't really know when I've hit my 70%, Heather. I don't really know when I've hit my 80%. If you feel like you rarely feel satisfied with your food, or if the only time you feel fullness after eating is when you've eaten too much and now you're very uncomfortable, but there's kind of nothing in between, that's an indication that your leptin isn't working right in your brain. They call it leptin resistance. Okay, so this is what's happening to many of us when we work out fasted. And this is just experiential for many of us. In our experience, this is kind of what happens. And of course, so many of us are doing this to help our weight drop, or, right, to lose fat. But ask yourself, if you've been working out fasted for a long time, has it helped you actually lose weight? Hey, it's Heather. We're taking just a quick pause so I can tell you about something that can change the way that you reach your weight goals. The Follow Through Planner is a digital system I designed to help you create calm, focus, and steady progress toward your weight goals without the pressure to be perfect. Imagine opening your laptop and knowing exactly what matters most this week and today, feeling grounded in your goals, confident in your plan, and proud of how you're showing up for yourself. Imagine knowing in any particular day how many overeats you've had and how consistent you're being at stopping at your desired percentage full. That's what this planner helps you do. You'll get coaching based tools I designed to help you organize your time, follow through on what you care about, plan your meals, and build momentum for your weight goals that lasts. To learn more about the digital follow through planner and get your copy and even your discount code, head to hbeardsley.com/planner. That's HBEARDSLEY.com/planner. If it hasn't, if your weight actually has not dropped, then this strategy of working out fasted may be actually making things harder, or at a minimum, it's muddying the water enough that you can't get any results from it. Okay. I'll just leave it there. I mean, I have other thoughts about movement and weight loss, right? And this is a hard sell for people, but that's a topic for another podcast. I'll just leave it there. So here's the signs that you're underfueling yourself. For me, it is classic stuff like if I go to work out or I'm in yoga class and I come up from seated and I feel dizzy, or I feel this sense of like shakiness or instability in my body. If you notice that your energy crashes halfway through a workout, you get really shaky, or you get like what feels like hypoglycemia. This is unstable blood sugar. And of course, it's unstable because it's your blood sugar, which is your fuel in your bloodstream, that your cells are going to use to fuel what your body needs to do. And if you're not eating enough, your that blood sugar is going to be used up very quickly, and you're going to feel that increase in hunger, sharp pangs of hunger, weakness, sweatiness, all of that stuff. It feels awful. And I think for many of us, for so many years of underfueling our workouts or not eating at all, we kind of forget how much better we could perform and how much better we could feel in a workout if we just ate some fucking food, right? Instead of thinking, oh my gosh, if I have, half a banana and some nut butter, that's going to ruin my ability to lose weight. It's just such a short-sighted thought. And the true sustainable results with living a life filled with movement that you love, if you want to be somebody who moves regularly, and I hope that you are and that you're able to, and you want to be somebody who is able to get to their happy weight, we have to be able to combine fueling, moving, and feeling good. And I think for many of you, accepting being underfueled for your workouts at a minimum, because it feels like shit and it feels way harder than it has to, this could totally change how you feel about moving your body if you just gave it some fuel. So the turning point happened for me began when I started experimenting with my fueling. I started to give myself permission to eat before I trained. And because I'll tell you why, because I had been diagnosed with fatty liver. I had been diagnosed with prediabetes, and I had been fasting and intermittent fasting and even long-term fasting up to 3 days with just water. And I didn't lose any fucking weight. And I eventually, after 2 years, I had to say, this is insanity. Why am I doing this? It's not helping me. It's not making my blood sugar better. It's not making, uh, my fasting blood sugar better. I feel so, I was feeling cold from all the fasting I was doing. And I was getting like crazed around food. I was just constantly thinking about food because I was depriving myself of food. And, maybe you haven't gone into it that deep like I did, but if you recognize some of these negative results from this supposed strategy of helping you lose weight by working out fasted, I'm inviting you to have a turning point like I did. So I had to say, like, okay, I've got to start eating more consistently. Let's see what happens. And almost immediately, my blood sugar, I noticed, started to stabilize. I was stopped overeating so much because I didn't feel as crazy around food because I was eating regularly. That was huge. And I felt like my strength and my stamina, and especially my mood, right? You're just like mean, like a viper when you don't eat. I mean, think about how that affects you and your relationships too. So all of this stuff came back online for me, and I felt more like myself. Thank goodness. And I started incorporating that with permission based eating. So I stopped demonizing food. I started eating carbohydrates again, despite what all the evidence out there says about how good some of these things supposedly can be for weight management. And the truth is, many of that stuff, if you look into the studies in which they're based on studies around men's physiology. And the truth is, women's physiology is very different, especially and specifically if you're in your mid 40s to postmenopausal, where you have that precipitous changing of your hormones and or just decline. Because we now know, research shows us that there's neurons specific to women, and Stacy Sims, Dr. Stacy Sims, PhD, talks about this in her research, specific to women. Kiss peptide neurons in women will innervate the fat cell, and their job is to determine whether or not you are properly fueled for your energetic requirements of the day. So if you're working out with no fuel in the tank, those kiss peptide neurons are protective of you. And what they do is they turn down your metabolism, they turn up your hunger, they turn down your satiety, your sense of feeling satisfied with food, and it will turn up your food noise because it's trying to get you to eat. So this is now my experience with fasted workouts is it felt so gratifying to read some of this research about like, yeah, these are real adaptations specific to women in midlife that affect the effectiveness of what you're trying to do, whether that's just build muscle, feel good in your workouts, and or drop some fat. So I invite you to do a easy way of experimenting with this. If you think, hey, maybe fueling myself could make a big difference. So it isn't indulgent. This is going to require some courage if you haven't tried it yet. And you can let this be an act of trust, a vote for trust in trying to make peace with and become a partner with what your body needs. So, in my planner coming out for 2026, there is a specific section to guide you in fueling your workouts. Because although I teach weight loss primarily, right? And I teach you to wait for physical hunger before you eat. And I teach you how to stop eating at about 7 to 7.5 tenths full, because we know that 8 out of 10 percentage full, 80% full, is associated with maintaining your weight. We know this from Okinawa, from the blue zones. They have a term for it called harahachibu. You can look it up. Okay. So my philosophy says eat just a little bit less than 80%. So 70 to 75% full, you'll be able to lose weight. But here's the big caveat. You need to be able to fuel yourself at least a little bit before you work out with some intentional fueling, whether you're hungry or not. So this is some of the subtleties that come into sustainable weight management. Okay. This fueling your workouts worksheet is going to help you figure out what your template is, your go-to things for exactly what to eat, how much of it to eat, and when you should be eating around your planned movements so that your body gets the fuel it needs. It drops those negative adaptations and you have a shot to lose fat and, get to your goal weight by working with your body and these kiss peptide neurons that women have that are beautifully protective of us so that we don't waste away to nothing, right? Your body wants to know that you're in a food abundant environment before it will allow you to part with the safety that fat on the body represents for the body. Remember that your body is a primal machine, and fat on the body is protective of your survival when there is a famine. And that is just programmed into you cellularly over eons of evolution. You are alive today because your ancestors were able to make it through a famine, and you have those mechanisms with you every day, too. And we just need to know how to speak the language of the body by responding appropriately. And fueling your workouts is a big part of that. So here's your challenge. Let's turn it into curiosity. I want you to try a 7-day fueling experiment. Before each workout this week, I want you to eat 100 to about 250 calories, something simple. My go-to recommendation is half a banana with some nut butter. You could also do like half a protein shake or like half a cup of Greek yogurt with some berries, something like that. Some protein and some carbohydrate. Then you're going to work out, and I want you to track what you eat and how you feel afterward, after doing your pre-movement fueling, and see if it makes a difference. And then at the end of this week of experimenting, see what results that gives you on the scale. And it's even better if you have a smart scale like an in-body scale, because this will tell you whether you're actually dropping fat if your net weight changes. Because we don't want you dropping muscle, right? This is the whole point, is that you keep your muscle and specifically trigger your body to lose fat by just slightly eating a little bit less calories, but fueling your movement. And this whole thing works together in like this beautiful orchestra where your body feels safe enough to, build your strength, your flexibility, and perform in your movement. But also at the same time, do what the gym bros say is impossible, which is to lose a little bit of fat at the same time. And I got to tell you, my clients are doing this consistently. Is it huge changes in fat loss? No, but it is sustainable, small results that add up like compounding interest week after week after week. And you can have this too if you just become a little bit more strategic with your approach between fueling and moving. Okay. You'll probably notice this is the markers you want to see in your 7-day challenge for fueling. You'll probably feel more stable and energized during your workouts. Your natural morning hunger cues may return if you don't currently feel them. That's a good thing. When you get more protein in your food for breakfast and lunch, meaning earlier in the day, you'll notice fewer cravings and more satiety, which means less evening eating, especially after dinner, which beautifully sets you up for fat loss. And after dinner, you might actually feel complete with food, and that food noise may decrease. So let your own data and experiment over the next week lead you to the conclusions that are right for you. I just offer you this as something to experiment with and see if it works. Okay. And I hope that you join my email list. You can go to hbeardsley.com/subscribe, get on my list, get your free gifts that you get immediately. You get 2 free gifts in the first few days. And this way you will get the Black Friday coupon code to get the 2026 planner at the biggest discount it's ever going to be offered for on Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Okay. So come and visit me on Instagram and let me know how you're finding this challenge. I'd love to hear from you. You can find me at Thrive in Midlife. Okay. The real secret to changing your body composition and your experience in your life isn't restriction, is learning how to be an intentional and compassionate fueler and mover and planner for your life. Okay. Stay focused and so long. Hey, if this episode resonated for you, then let's connect. Visit hbeardsley.com/subscribe. That's HBEARDSLEY.com/subscribe and become a VIP subscriber. You'll learn how to work with me. You'll get 2 free gifts, access to exclusive VIP content, and get a discount on the digital follow-through planner.